Hello, happy Wednesday. We are halfway through this week. It's April 8th. And first off, I want to say I got a new computer yesterday, which is very exciting, but it's my first time recording live on that. So I'm kind of getting the feel for that and hang of that. But I wanted to talk about this topic today because I do not know, maybe it's just me, but it's starting to feel like every day is the exact same day, right? And it's like, okay, how is today different than yesterday? And in real life, what happens is there's a lot of different variety of things that are happening in our lives, whether it's different meetings, whether it's traveling for work, whether it's meeting our girlfriends from lunch, things that can really help break up the monotony. And right now, it's starting to feel like a lot of this shock has worn off, a lot of the newness of trying to figure out new ways of doing things. We're settling into this new routine, but one of the things about the new routine is our worlds are a lot smaller in some ways, in that, I was talking to Alec this morning. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the office. And he kind of looked at me funny, like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just walking to the office, right? So I'm not getting in the car, not commuting, not having that kind of mixing up of different days in different environments. And I was like, man, it's only Wednesday. This week feels so long. And so I know when I'm feeling this way that I'm not alone in this. And I just want to give a shout out. Sorry, I touched my face. If you have kids and you are watching this, raise your hand, because you've got it a lot more challenging than I do in my world with just my dogs and Alec in my office. And I'm just trying to manage myself here and my team. But really what I'm talking about is that whether it's you, whether it's your team, there's going to come a point where it's like, you're in that kind of leg of the marathon where the adrenaline's worn off, but you're not close to the finish yet. And it's like, how do you keep moving? How do you keep putting one foot in front of the other? And it's like, oh man, it's kind of like just the same thing over and over and over again. So I want to give you some tools that I'm using to help with this. The first is to set some short-term goals. Hi. I can't see your name unless you're registered, so type your name in when you're saying hi. The first is to set some short-term goals. So when I'm talking about short-term goals, I'm talking about what is a 30-day goal for you, goal that you can set for yourself. Is it a project? Is it a milestone? Is it trying to think of what else? Maybe project's a milestone. Let's just stay with that. And so to think about, what would be a short-term goal that I need to accomplish in the next 30 days, or that I'd like to accomplish in the next 30 days. And then what are all of the steps that are underneath that to achieve? Write down all of the steps. So I've been talking about this. I am getting ready to launch an online platform for consultants, commission-based professionals, and small business owners who want to create more consistency in their revenue and predictability in their profits using outbound sales, and giving them tools and strategies to do that. And what I have done is I have written down literally every single step that needs to happen from the launch to the delivery of that program. And I've assigned them days. And the reason why this is so powerful is because there's a longer term goal, right? 30 days out that I'm working towards. But there's exact steps that I've predefined that I need to do. So when I'm not motivated, all I need to do is go into my project management software. I use Asana, and say, what are my tasks for today? So you guys, I can, let me see if I can show you how to share this. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Sorry, this is a little messy. This is a new computer. I've got to give permission to do this. Okay, perfect. Chrome tab. So I'm going to show you guys the screen. This is how, literally my days are now, is that I go into my calendar, and today's the 8th, and I have a list of everything that I need to do today. I have a list of everything that I need to do tomorrow. This is related to my specific project that I'm doing for my launch. And the reason this is powerful is because there are going to be days when I wake up and I'm not motivated. And instead of trying to figure out what should I do today? How can I move forward in my business? How do I want to interact with my customers? I can sit down and say, oh, okay, I need to send grant information to my team. That's actually not part of the launch, but I need to write email number 2 in the launch sequence. I need to create training slides, right? And so then I can sit down and just start putting progress towards my list. And when I do that, it helps me to be able to take positive action towards a goal. And then I can start to measure that progress as I go along. I'm using the same, right? It's the same philosophy of right now I'm training for a half marathon. Who knows if the half marathon is going to happen? Doesn't matter. But I go in and I do my training plan every day. And I'm using an app on the phone. It's actually not an app, it's an Audible book that's a half marathon training program. And there's 4 runs every week and they're coached runs. I don't have to think about, should I run today? Should I not run today? It's like, okay, I'm running today. And someone's telling me exactly what to do. And I just have to show up and do it. And when we're lacking motivation, that is the time for getting really tactical. And what's the list? Do the list. Like, okay, let me do 2 things on my list. Let me sit down at my computer and work on my project list for the next hour. Great, I can do that. It's just, I don't have to think about it. And the reason this is important is that thinking takes energy. Making decisions takes energy. When you've gone through a cycle of stress, like everyone has, you've gone through a cycle of stress, your reserves, your brain is tired. It's not going to have as much push as it normally does. And so this is the time to really start to focus on what can you do to make it easy for you and your team to succeed. So when I'm thinking about my team, the way I think about the same philosophy is let's create a shared goal. So let me sit down with my team members and say, okay, it's May 8th. What's a project or a goal or a milestone that you want to have achieved in the next 30 days? Okay, great. Let's sit down and brainstorm what are the action steps that are going to get you there. And then let's break it down. So, okay, what's the order that they need to happen? And then after we understand what the order is that they need to happen, then let's assign them days. And so it doesn't mean there's not room for creativity, that, your whole day isn't booked. Today for me it is, but generally, I have about 2 to 3 hours of project work and then client work. And then I have some open time where I can think about what are some other fun things I want to do. But right now, when we are going through this period where you want to keep taking forward progress, but it's harder, you don't have the same motivation and the same energy around it as you might typically have, then it is really important to utilize tools and strategies that can help you succeed. And one of the tools and strategies is creating that short-term goal, identifying the action steps, like down to every little detail that needs to happen, and assigning them dates. So you don't have to work up motivation every day, that you can sit down and you can say, here's my list of things I'm doing today. This is where checklists are super, super handy. We have, and we'll post it in the comments and share it, but a sales planning tool and checklist that's a free resource at mytimetoprofit.com. At the back of that, if you go down, there's checklists that you can create that have some examples in there and some ideas from a sales standpoint of, okay, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, what are the things that I need to be doing? And then you can add in your own. So that's a great one too. So if you don't assign it every day, what are my daily tasks? Give yourself simple tasks that you can do every day. So it might be, right, making the bed, getting dressed, taking a shower. We got to dial it down to the basics. When we are in times of heightened stress, in times of uncertainty, and then in times of prolonged stress and uncertainty, the basics are more important than they've ever been before. And sometimes we're looking for these huge new strategies, these huge new ideas, these innovative ways to do things, and that this isn't necessarily the right time to do that. If you are inspired around that, by all means, go that direction. But if instead you're feeling like, man, is this week over yet? When is this going to end? I feel like I have things to do and I'm not making progress, but I'm bored out of my mind at the same time, and every day feels the same. How is today going to be different than yesterday? That is the time to get down to the basics. And the basics are short-term goals that are tied to long-term plans and objectives, but break it down. What is the goal in the next 30 days? If you have that 90-day goal, we've talked about that. What is your 90-day revenue goal? What is your, 90-day goal? But then within that, what's a 30-day milestone that you can give yourself to succeed? And what are the action steps underneath that? Write that down and then assign them. Are those things that happen daily? Does it happen on a specific day? And put them on your calendar. And I promise you what will happen is you will have so much relief when you sit down at your desk and you're like, this is what I need to do today. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to decide. I don't have to make another decision. I can sit down and do my predetermined task and make progress in my business and in my life, in the areas that I want to. And then once I've hit those milestones, I'm already going to feel more reinvigorated, is that the right word? Recharged, excited, because I have spent time making forward progress in the things that I want to. And sometimes, right, it takes energy to make energy. We're waiting for inspiration. We're waiting for motivation to do anything. And I get it. And I'm not saying like push through, don't be stressed, productivity at all costs. Please hear me, that that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that if you're feeling like you're in the drudgery and it's a slog, that one way to create more energy and forward motion is by taking forward motion. And these little tiny steps, these little things that you do day after day become big things when they're multiplied over time. The same compounding effect, right, that we are seeing happening with the virus, where, the more cases there are, the more rapid cases transmit. That happens in our own lives too, that these small things initially don't make that big of a difference, but small things done consistently over time have a snowball effect and turn into really big things. And it can be really hard every day to get up the motivation to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to connect with 5 customers. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to reach out to 3 people that are on my prospect list. I'm going to sit down and call a mentor. Right? All of those things can feel really overwhelming in the moment, but if they're tied to a specific time-bound goal that's in the short term, it's like, okay, if I don't do this today, then I'm behind for tomorrow. And that's really what motivates me in running. And when I'm doing a training plan in running, is that I'm like, if I don't do my run today, that affects my run tomorrow. And then that affects my run next week. And so I've just, no matter how much I don't want to do it, I'm just going to put my headphones in and do what the lady on the phone's telling me to do. Once I get started, it's great and I feel so much better. But if it was up to me to make a decision about how much I wanted to run, what kind of run, should I not run, it's so much easier in the midst of overwhelm to not do anything and to use the same strategies in our own businesses, that you can be the voice in your ear. You can be the voice in your team's ear. And what I would highly recommend is, if you don't have someone where you're sitting down on a weekly basis saying, okay, here's my top 3 priorities for the week, here's what I'm going to get done, and sharing that accountability in that group, get that support. Because having somebody else to say, did you do the thing you said you were going to do? It sounds so simple, but it's very powerful. And it's especially powerful in times like the times that we're in today. So your action item in terms of motivating yourself is to stop waiting for inspiration. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop waiting till you feel like it. My writing teacher used to tell me this all the time. If you wait until you want to write, you're not going to write. But once you start writing and you start building that habit, then the inspiration comes. So same thing in your business. Create a short, time-bound goal, a 30-day goal or milestone that's tied to your bigger goals and objectives that you want to achieve. Write down those action steps and assign them in order, because you'll see some are dependent on another. For example, one of my tasks is to record some training videos. Well, I've got to write the scripts for that, and I've got to write the training slides for that before I can do that. Before I can record. So I know if I need to record on Friday, what I do today matters. So try and set it up so that tasks are dependent on each other. So you kind of can create some internal systems of saying, I don't want to do this today, but I'm going to do this today because it's going to help me tomorrow, so that you can start supporting yourself in success in that way. So I want to hear from you. What is your 30-day milestone project goal that you're going to use to take daily action items on for the next 30 days. Share in the comments and send me a direct message on how I can support you and your business during this time. We'll also share the sales planning tool and checklist if you're just looking for some ideas on what would be some good daily tasks. What are some good weekly tasks? There's some examples in that checklist and then some space for you to create your own. So that's a great resource too. What I would say is that do not make the mistake of giving yourself 20 things to do every day, because if you're already feeling like kind of it's a hard to get started, if it feels like too much and you're feeling unmotivated, that's going to actually make it harder for you to succeed. So you want to set goals that are doable, achievable, and that don't take up your entire day, but that are enough that you've got to sit down and do something. So really find that sweet spot where it's like, okay, I'm not going to go run for 4 hours every day or 2 hours every day, but I'm going to do 1 long run, 2 short runs, and then a hard run, right? So same thing in my business. I'm going to have one day where I'm, recording videos. That takes a lot of time and energy, but then I'm going to have some days where my task is to write an email. I can do that in 15 minutes, no big deal, right? So make sure that you find that balance in there, because if you sit down at your desk and all the tasks every day that you've given yourself, you look at the list and you go, feel overwhelmed, you're going to go to the kitchen and get a snack and you're not going to do the thing. So, when I'm going to use another example outside of running, my writing teacher, every writing teacher I've ever had, and would say, like, write for 10 minutes a day. If you set a timer for 10 minutes a day and write, you will be amazed at how much writing gets done over the course of a month, over the course of a year. And then ultimately, you can expand to 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. So if you're really struggling with motivation, or your team's really struggling with motivation, start with less tasks. Start with, okay, what are 2 things that we're going to do in the next 5 days? And then after that, what are the 3 things that we need to do to move us forward? And then the next week we can have 4 things, right? So build on that. Use momentum on your side. Create that ripple effect and that compounding effect in your business, but you've got to start with what you will actually do. So have it tied to a time-bound goal so it's meaningful, and that goal is meaningful to you and your business and ties into your why, but then balance out the action steps so that you don't feel overwhelmed and do nothing. So that is my topic for today, how to motivate yourself. Asana is a great project management tool if you're looking for one. ClickUp is another one. I prefer Asana. Took a while to get used to, but I have an amazing project manager and virtual assistant who set it all up for me. But definitely having something where you can go on and see your tasks and how they tie to those goals can be very, very motivating as well. So I hope you're doing well, and I will see you tomorrow. Should be right around 10 o'clock. So have a great rest of the day.